Hey folks, it's Nate coming at you with another Bladestyle demo tonight on Monday. This is March 7th. So tonight I'm going to do another Bladestyle demo that is a config that I finished up for another client just last night. So this is a config for Kawika, who purchased a Saber of mine, and we just got done with setting this thing up with the fonts he wanted and the blade styles he requested. And this is another set of 10. So yeah, let's get started. So the first one is A New Hope Training version 2 from Kyberphonic, and this is a light blue audio flicker blade. And this is more of a Canon themed blade style, so there's nothing too fancy on it. It has a slight brightness on the swing.
I see your point, sir. I suggest a new strategy, Art. Let the Wookiee win.
And he requested some gesture controls on here, so I've got swing on and twist on this. And battle mode. And the next one is Temple Guardian from BlueForce.
Temple Guardian.
And this is my yellow gold custom per flicker LED blade with a super fast ignition. This one seems to be a fan favorite, and I gotta say, it's definitely one of my like top 5 favorite blade styles that I've made. I like the color that I hit on this thing. I like the way it shows up as a two-tone on camera. That was sort of what I was going for, with that sort of lighter core and the darker edges. And then I also have this blade style is really more of a template where I've set it up with a bunch of different effect options at each one. So I've got like 3 or 4 different lockup variants for the style. I've got a couple of swing variants where I do like an enhanced brightness on the swing on the upper half, or a strobe, or I've even got one where you can darken the blade on the swing. And so whenever I get this blade requested, I kind of sort of step through. I have this blade style sort of like a menu where you can choose which variations you want with it. But it's also a really popular blade style. A lot of people that ask me to do config builds for them for their Proffie sabers request this blade style. And then this one also has, I run black rain dents on the blade, but I run them at a really, really tiny size, excuse me, and a really, really high frequency. So they just sort of show up as speckles, but they don't pick up on camera. They're too small for that, but you do see them in person, which sort of helps give some texture to the blade. So that's Temple Guardian. The next one is Behemoth from GreyscaleFonts. And this is a newer blade style that I made. This is an orange red slow pulse blade. So Kawika had asked me about specifically for this type of a pulse because, and I had never heard this sound font before until I got it and set it up on his Saber. But he had mentioned to me that this sound font has sort of a heartbeat, and he thought that a pulse blade would pair really nicely with that, and he was absolutely right. So having never heard the font before, when I heard it for the first time, I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. It's like roll, 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 roll. So I tried to get the pulse timed with the heartbeat as best I could. I think the pulse is still a little bit fast, but he liked the speed that it's on now, so we're going to leave it as is. So the next one is Havoc from Ksith. And this is also a newer blade style I built, and I originally built this one for Ike, another client that bought a Saber from me, who's where I built a custom config for them last week. And I originally built this blade style for him for his Havoc sound font, and then I wanted to go ahead and put it on this one as well because this blade style seems to work really well with this sound font. So this is a faster pulse, which is a gold with a gold yellow. It's a brighter, it's a little bit brighter variant of a yellow gold, closer to a yellow. And this has an unstable swing. And I've timed the I've sized the sort of the particles on the swing effect so that they're not too big, so they don't detract from the rolling pulse effect when you swing the blade. I think I've got a little cool off there at the end. And then the next one is Aggression from Ksith. And this is an orange unstable blade with some black mixed in. Again, really like how the texture came out on this one. Sort of fuzzy, sort of like the surface of a gaseous planet. I think I'm using our orange red on the spark tip. You can see that coming in and then coming out. And then the next one is Desolation from Ksith, and this is a green smoke blade.
Desolation.
And this is actually a lift from the blade style I originally built for the Void from BK Saber Sounds. I really liked how this green gaseous blade, smoke blade, came out, and I'm doing the a Preon that sits in the middle of the blade. So y'all will probably remember this blade style. Let me start from the beginning here. So because this style has a Preon built into it, it's got an overload Preon that sets in the middle of the blade, I actually put a Preon on Kawika's version of this sound font, but I didn't do it on my version. I'm actually displaying this on my Saber on the Vectra, and I just forgot to put the Preon on this version of the sound font. But that overload Preon essentially sits in the middle of the blade for about 7 seconds, and it sort of expands and grows, and then it cycles up onto the full blade. And then I incorporate a little bit more sort of light blue, azure, and purple on the lockups, and the blasts and the clashes. And then, so on the lockup, I'm doing a purple, a light purple, or a violet really, an azure, and a black. And that's what gives you that. And then I'm using a green yellow on the transition color when it goes back to the main blade. And then this also has a force effect, which generates a strobe swing. And then on that style, also, if you want to disengage the strobe, you just hit the force effect again, and then it toggles it back off. So yeah, that's a fun blade style. So originally, I built that core style for last Halloween, and so if you all want to see the variants for that one, I did do a blade style video for that. I think it was somewhere around October 29th, October 28th, something like that. It was like a day or two right before Halloween. Okay, so the next one is Starlight. So this sound font, I think, it's done by Kyberphonic, but it's only released through I think it's Kyberlight Sabers. It comes bundled on the Sabers that they produce, so you can't get it from Kyberphonic's website. I think you can only get it from Kyberlight.
Starlight.
And this is a silver two-tone. It's a white on silver. This was originally one of my monochrome blade styles that I did, and then I did a few modifications for this particular sound font. So what this is this is a sort of a medium silver on the main blade, and then it transfers to a white on the swing, so it does a bright swing. So that main blade rests somewhere around 125, like 125, 125, 125. And then on the swing, it goes up to 255, 255, 255. So you can see it gets really bright on the swing. So I wanted to pair this blade style specifically with this font because thematically it felt like it would work. But the one caveat I would say for anybody that wants to use this blade style is that different NeoPixel blades will display a white with different hues depending on how those NeoPixel blades are set up, how they're wired. Some NeoPixel blades will give you a little bit more red of a tint, a reddish tint on a pure white blade. Some will do a little bit more blue tint. Some might actually be closer to dead center. This blade that I use, the Bendu Armory V2 KR Pixel Show Blade, these blades tend to tint a little bit more towards blue when you get a pure white, which is why it looks like there's a little bit of violet when you swing it. And then all the effects, all the clashes, blasts, lockups, clashes, those are all white. Those are all white. And then I also incorporated a little bit more random per LED flicker and a little bit more brown noise flicker in the lockup than I normally would, just to give it that activity, so it gives it a little bit more prominence on top of the blade being the same color. You want it a little bit more active, a little bit grittier, so you can see it better. Okay, so that's Starlight. Next one is, this is a funny one. So this is Vader Vs Ewok. This is a sound font from Jay Dalorian, and this is I did this in a RedHumpFlickerBladestyle. Get to hear the wicked screams. And I dig that he's actually using the Rogue One hallway theme music in the background too. That's pretty cool.
Is complete.
When I first heard this font, man, I laughed so hard. I almost hyperventilated. Man, Jay, great job on this font, dude. All right, and then the next one is Master Maul, and this is from Syndicate Custom Relics. And the theme behind this font was what would happen if Maul actually had joined the Jedi Council after being captured by Ahsoka Tano.
Formerly Darth, now Maul.
And so this is a deep or a dark blue audio flicker blade. So it's a pulse blade, surging pulse blade that I'm doing. blaster blocks are off the chain on this font. I love the blaster blocks on this.
I sense deception.
And then the last one on this config is another Syndicate font. This is Ksith Killer. Also, one of my more recent favorites. This now goes in like my top 15, top 20 fonts.
Ksith Killer.
Really nice, gritty Ksith, nice, gritty, deep bass rich font. I love these like engine style hums. I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but they really are mine. And so I'm actually using a lightning summon hilt release. And the main blade is a red, and I'm doing the summon, lightning, and the release in an orange red, so you can barely see it. It's very, very subtle. And this is a pulse blade. It's got a much more prominent, unstable effect on the swing. I think it's also using a really nice bright white on the power up, but the power up is a little slower. It's about a 450, 500 power up. And then a spark tip on the retraction. So that's the config. And thanks again, Kawika, for letting me work on this for you. I had a lot of fun doing it. I love doing this stuff, especially when people request fonts from me that are just really, really cool. This particular list of fonts, as well as the list of fonts that I worked on with Blade Styles 4 with Ike, these last two recent configs, just awesome. You guys have good taste in sound fonts. All right, thanks for watching, y'all. May the force be with you.